Hey friends, Amy Astrab with Ad Astra Stamping. Got my paper pumpkin kit and I cannot wait to dive in. This is an awesome kit. I will shoot another video making the regular stuff, but right now I just want to get into the alternatives because I came up with some really cute, fun things that I think you're going to love. Let's go ahead, point the camera down and get to it. So first we're going to start with these elements. So I made my own card base. You're going to notice I scored it wrong. Hey, accidents happen. Not a big problem. I rescored it and folded it in half. It is just a standard 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 when it's folded like this. And that line is not going to matter at all because I am going to just go ahead and pop this right on top. You're asking me, well, isn't that the card base from the regular kit? Yes, indeed it is. I have just cut it in half. This is the front of the card base that came in this month's kit, and we are going to eventually just glue this whole thing right on a card base, but we're going to assemble this panel first. So what I have done is I have taken these beautiful envelopes that came in the kit. Love these envelopes. I just couldn't put this in the mail. It needed to be on a card. So I'm going to show you exactly what I did with this. I took my letter opener and I very carefully just found a loose spot down at the bottom corner of the envelope, and I just opened this envelope up on both sides. Usually use whole big, beautiful area inside this envelope just begging to be used as DSP. Plus, we've got this area on the front of the envelope that is just so beautiful that we have to make a card out of it. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So what I did first is I took my trimmer. Zoom out here just a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. I took my trimmer and I just went ahead and right on the score line of that envelope, right at the very bottom, I just went ahead and trimmed that with my paper trimmer, took this piece off. We'll save it. We can even use that as DSP. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off these little flaps that got damaged when we opened up the envelope. They're just trash. You can throw those away. We'll do that on both sides. And I'm just lining up that crease line right on the track of my trimmer, that right away. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I trimmed it just a little bit above the tree line. So it is a 2-inch strip. Okay, so we're going to measure this at 2 inches. And just, if the envelope may not be perfectly even, so just make sure that you're lined up this way on that 2-inch line and go ahead and score that. And then you know you've got it nice and straight. Okay. Now we've got all this beautiful DSP inside. I'm going to go ahead and just trim off the sticky for the envelope and get rid of it. And then I'm going to trim these sides down so that they're straight. And I'm just lining up that top corner, the narrowest part, with my track and trimming it right off. Now we have a relatively straight piece DSP to use. Now I'm going to move my trimmer out of the way and we're going to go ahead and get to work on assembling a card. Okay. So we've got this front piece. We've got our piece that we cut off, and I have trimmed this beautiful part of the envelope down 4 inches. So it is 4 inches. It doesn't quite carry all the way across from end to end, and that's okay. That's the way I meant to do it. I also am getting one of these beautiful little pennant banners out of the kit, and I am getting one of the little labels out of the kit, photopolymer stamps that come in the kit. I am just going to be gluing this panel right on top of the trees. Now you'll notice that when you cut this card base in half, there were 2 sides. There was this side, and then the back side has trees that do not come up as tall. We're going to use those for different cards. So I use the one with the tree, which is the front of the card base. And I am just going to go ahead and glue this panel, this faux DSP, onto the bottom of that card. Just like that. And now I am going to just add a little glue to my label right in the center. I'm going to pop it on this little banner like so, and then I am going to pop those up with some dimensionals. And I am going to go ahead and use 3 for this. And I'm just going to stick it right over those trees, like so. Now that I have that done, I am ready to go ahead and glue this panel right. Match up, the corners match up, everything's good. And there we go. There we have alternative card number 1. How adorable is that? Now you totally could go in and add whatever you want. All right, our next card, we will go ahead and use the back side of that same card base that we cut in half. And for that, we are going to use that pretty green buffalo plaid that we trimmed down. Mine is not quite straight, so I am going to get it straight. All right, now for this one, we would go ahead and just pop this down on here. And then I am taking the leftover trees because I cut that piece down. I cut this piece down to 4 inches, which left this part left over. I trimmed down the green plaid to 2 inches by, it's 2 inches by 5.5 inches right now. If I were going to pop it on here, this is what I would be doing. I would trim that down to the 4 1/4, pop this on top like so, and oh, here we go. Then I would add Noel and this fun little ribbon. Now the red ribbon came in the kit. but I went ahead and doubled it up with some of this fabulous linen thread and tied them together into a bow, a double bow, which I'm going to pop on this card. Now, this is one idea if you just want to use what's in the kit, but I also had another thought. I have a fabulous embossing folder that embosses these trees. It is in the current catalog. Let me show you what that looks like. So here's the embossing folder. And I want to show you how I did this on my card base. So the green card base that comes pre-scored in the kit is what I used. And I went ahead and I put this in the folder, and I looked to match up the top of the tallest tree to right close to the top of the card, which is where that score line would be at. I didn't want to go above that. And then I just went ahead and centered it up, making sure that it's straight. And you do that by paying attention to this line right here. That gets you straight. Now, you can't put it in this way with the fold first into your Stampin' Cut and emboss machine because it won't fit. It's not wide enough. So it is okay. It will not harm your embossing folder. As long as you have the right sandwich, you can put it in sideways like this. You just never want the open end going in first. So what I did is I put it in, and I ran mine in the wrong way. I ran mine in this way, which left me with a crease on the back of the card base. And I don't know if you can see that. You see that little line that it left? But you can avoid doing that if you're smarter than I am. You will go ahead and run this through with this side where you have the gap. Run it in first, run it right up to where the tree line ends, and then roll it back out of the machine. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. All right, so I've got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and let me go ahead and pull this back so you can see what I'm doing. So I've got the base plate, the #1 plate. Since this is a 3D embossing folder, we're going to turn this so that we're putting that end in first. Now, how am I going to see through this plate, right? Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this plate right up to where that score line is, where the card folds. Okay. Now I'm going to push this whole sandwich through. And when I get up to that point where that's at, I'm going to go ahead and roll this back out. Pardon the clicking noises. It's all well and good. Now, let's see what we've got. Voila. It came out beautifully embossed and did not leave that crease that layout that I just showed you. This layout, beautiful. Love it. You get the drift. You could definitely put it together like that. I did not trim this down because I like this even better. I left it long enough. This is going to go all the way across the bottom. We've got those beautifully embossed trees peeking up over the top of this, and we're going to go ahead and assemble this and this down. So that's going to be my alternative card. If you don't have this embossing folder, definitely do not waste this. Go ahead and use the same layout on this, or do both. Hey, there's enough stuff in here. You can do as many of these cards the way you want to do them as you've got stuff to do them with. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue this together real quick. Now you will see, because these card bases in this kit are white on the inside. The green doesn't go all the way through. You may see a little bit of white in that embossing. I don't know if you can see that. That's okay. I love it. I think it looks like there's just a tad bit of snow there. So I am not at all drawn back by that. I think it just adds to it. All right. Go ahead and I'm popping this up a little higher than my green plaid. Now, I'm not going to use glue for my Noel. I am going to go ahead and use the glue dots that Stampin' Up! Provided, simply because if you get glue on that pretty foil, okay, we'll zoom you back in here. I have added glue dots to the back of my Noel that came in the kit. And I am just going to stick that kind of at an angle over here on top of our buffalo plaid, our green buffalo plaid that we put down. All right. And now I'm just going to use a glue dot to adhere my little double bow. And we're just going to put that right over here, kind of in the corner of our little silver trees. And so there we have alternative number 2. But wait, there's more. All right, let's move on to card number 3. Okay, so I have added my own piece of red cardstock. That's real red. I am using the green plaid circle that came in the kit. I have stamped on a piece of white cardstock, okay? And this measures 2.5 by 4 inches. And I have stamped the trees right on here with the shaded spruce. So I just stamped a little off the edge, and then I stamped again, kind of joining the small tree with the small tree from before, and just kind of overlapped those so that I've got a line of trees straight across. You can't tell where one ends and the other begins, and I'm super happy with that. So this one again is on the, it could be the front or the back really of that card base. I chose the front because you can see a little more of the trees in the background, but it'd be pretty with either one. I'm going to go ahead and glue this down first, kind of like we did on the last one. Probably going a little crazy with the glue there. All right. And I've got that cut right to the 4 1/4 so that it spans all the way across. I have not taken it all the way down to the bottom. Okay. I left a little of the gray peeking. I'm going to take and trim this down to fit across there as well. Go ahead and pop that down. And I'm putting that just underneath that line of trees that I stamped. I think we'll do Merry Christmas on this one. I'll just ink that up. I got a little messy with this one. I have to wipe some of the ink off of my fingers here. Now I'm going to go ahead and pop that up with some dimensionals. Two should be set for this one. We'll go ahead and adhere down our circle. And you can kind of determine how you want that plaid to be. I kind of want it to look more like an X than a square. Give it a little more visual emphasis. And I'm just going to pop up the Merry Christmas right over the top of that. This will go right on to our white card base. If by chance you get a little bit of white at the top or the bottom, you can always just trim that up. And there you have it. You could add some of the red. They weren't overly generous with the red this time. If you wanted, I think I'm just going to leave this one the way it is. But I do want to add a little gemstone to this. Rather than use the ones that are in there, I've got some red ones from that are retired, and I need to use some of them up. So I'm just going to pop a couple of those on here. I think I just like it with one. We'll put one on there. And there's card number 3. All right, moving right along. Yes, there are more. Okay, so you've got those beautiful vellum trees, okay? And we're going to take the biggest part of that green plaid that we saved from, oh no, I'm sorry. This is actually the panel out of the kit. So this is not part of the envelope. This is actually part of the kit, the panel that comes in the kit. And we're going to put that on a white card base. We're going to glue our beautiful vellum trees on there with these glue dots provided. And then we're going to run a piece of ribbon across that is going to hide those glue dots, okay? So you want to decide strategically where you're going to place those glue dots. So we want them in a straight line right across the bottom. Well, not the bottom. The center 2/3, okay? So like right through here. Okay. And I think I'm going to go ahead, we'll add some embellishments to a couple of the treetops. So I am going to go ahead and just add one of these glue dots up here. They've curled up on me, which is just fine by me. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and pop the backs. Determine about where you want these to be on this panel, and then just kind of eyeball and try to form a fairly straight line on that plaid of where they're going to fit. Okay, and then just go ahead and give them a firm little press. Now, as you can see, if you look carefully, those glue dots do show through. That's quite all right. I'm going to take my ribbon. Now, this is some retired, I believe this is Poppy Parade is the color. It is a retired one. Don't be afraid to use up some of the stuff you already have on hand, okay? any red ribbon that's wide enough to cover what you want to hide is going to work out just fine. Now you could definitely glue this. I think what I'm going to do instead is use my tear and tape because it's just going to be quicker and easier to adhere down and make it stick without having to sit and hold it in place while it gets a little bit dry. So I'm just going to put this on here. Why do they call it tear and tape? Ah, look at that. You can just tear it to the length you want it to be. Now this is a double-sided adhesive tape, okay? And I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that it's stuck tight to the ribbon. And then I'll just start peeling that backing away. It sticks to the ribbon. And we're just going to stick that right across there. Now I messed up the end a little bit, so I'm going to snip that off. There we go. Okay, now that I have that panel done, I'm going to go ahead and get my sentiment tag ready, okay? So this also came out of the kit, and this part is part of the throwaway part of the card kit. Let me see if I've still got that handy so I can show you what that looks like, where I cut that. Yes, here we go. Okay, so after I punch this piece out, you're left with this, okay? So I just went snip and snip, and look at that. I've got a label ready to go. You could do the same thing right here. You can go snip and snip, and you've got a bordered gray and green. This one's just got a gray on one side, greeting on there. I wanted to do from our home to yours on this one. So just a small, simple one, and then we'll put our Merry Christmas or peaceful Christmas wishes on the inside. So we're going to go from our home to yours. Go right in the center. I think I'm going to trim this down just a bit more so that it's a tiny bit smaller than our gray panel that it's being mounted on. I didn't want to cut it too short before I put my stamp on there. Make it just long enough for our words. And then we'll center that up. I'm going to go ahead and do this with dimensional. So I'm going to do 3 dimensionals. Oops, got that one a little crooked, but that's okay. And I'm just going to pop that up over top of that wood, that gray wood grain. And it looks kind of plain in the middle. I think I'm going to go like this. Oh, and we still need to add some little rhinestones or something to cover those 2 glue dots. So I think we will use these pretty sparkly gems that they gave us in this kit. I have yet to crack these open. I haven't even made the regular kit cards from this kit yet, guys. I was just so excited about the fun thing that I could do with this kit and the things that were in it that I just went straight to creating. The creative brain took over and I couldn't help myself. So let's go ahead and get this glued down. We're at the top. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and glue down our sentiment. Now again, if you're following my lead on this and doing something similar, if you liked it better down here, by all means you could do that. I think I'm going to pop it right over right over the center. From our home to yours. And there we've got what? This makes alternative number 4. 4, guys. 4. And I'm not done yet. No, not done yet. So we had those beautiful little trees that we popped out of the vellum. And this is what's left over. Too cute to throw away. I know, right? So I took the green part of that envelope we cut up. We've still got a nice big piece of green left over from that envelope. That was this ugly piece here where we tore that paper off. I got this nice big green piece right out of there. Okay, so that's where I got this from. It is just slightly smaller than this vellum square that's left over. And I like it that way. I like that it's hanging over the top and the bottom, okay? So what we're going to do with this is we are going to take yet another one of these. This is the back side of the card base, okay? And if you put that here and you're going, but the trees are going the wrong way. No, it's not going to matter. These trees, they don't have to go this way. We're turning them this way, and I'm doing it on purpose because you know what? Once we pop this into the middle, you can't even tell that those are trees. It just looks like a snowy background, and no one is going to know the difference, okay? So that's what we're doing with this card. I'm going to just go ahead real quick like. We'll glue this panel onto our... All right, now... let's go ahead and take care of this first. So we're going to need some of these little glue dots. And we're just going to pop those kind of right in the corners. Okay. All right. Pop those off. And we're going to pop this down top to bottom for the most part. And it's just held down on those 4 corners. And yes, you can see them. That's okay. We'll fix that later. All right, get those glue dots out of the way. All right, let's go ahead and let's get this glued onto our base. Like so. Okay. Loving this. I'm just loving this. Okay, now let's hide those. I've got just the thing. I love these new matte black dots that Stampin' Up! Has. They are going to be perfect for anchoring this card because they look like little brads. Okay, and we're just going to put a faux brad on each one of these corners to kind of anchor it down so that it looks like it's meant to be that way. You could put anything you wanted here. You could put stars, you could put snowflakes, whatever kind or color of embellishment you have that works for you would definitely be great on this card. So we've got that anchored down. Now we just need to determine what our sentiment's going to be. Remember that piece we snipped out a while ago? Let's use that for our sentiment. And what shall we use on this one? We could do holiday cheer on this one. Yeah, let's do holiday cheer. Beautiful. All right, now I'm just going to snip that down to size so that I don't have too big of a piece. And I think we're just going to pop that up on some dimensionals right there in the center again. Question is, do I want some ribbon or something in there? What about this? What if we ran this underneath? Run that through there just like that. Oh, I like that. I like that. I like that. I think that's what we're going to do. All right, so here's how we're going to manage this. We're going to tack that down with a little glue on the ends. So just adding just a tad bit of glue right there. We're going to do the same on this other end, making sure that we've got it straight on the card. Now this piece is definitely optional. You could use this somewhere else, but hey, I think it's pretty cute. Just like that. I could do the tear and tape with this again. I have my Stampin' Seal handy, so I'm going to use it instead. But I am only going to do just like part of it because I really want the ends loose. I think the ends loose on this is going to look really cute. So that's just going to help tack some of the loose pieces of vellum down so that it's not flopping too much. Okay. But the ends of the ribbon are still loose. And then we're going to pop this up with some dimensionals. Holiday cheer. What do you think? Alternative number, what is this? This is number 5. 5 alternatives, guys. I still have stuff left over to make even more fabulous cards. I'm going to turn this up. And I just want to say thanks for joining me today. If you are interested in Paper Pumpkin, I would love it if you would subscribe to it through me. Just visit at astrastamping.stampinup.net to shop with me. You can buy 1 month at a time. You can prepay for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months at a time. Or you can just subscribe monthly and it just automatically bills you every month. And you say, well, what happens if I don't want it every month? If there's a month that the kit just doesn't seem to interest you, or maybe you've got too many stacked up, hey, you can halt that at any time you please and then just pick it back up when you're ready. So if you've got questions, please reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. Share with me on my Facebook page anything that you have come up with for your own alternatives. I would absolutely love to see what you came up with or how you copied mine. I don't care. I just want to hear from you.